Hello, friends, and good morning. We have a very sunny day ahead, and in today's morning radio show of reading the lips of CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, we are dealing with a situation where the head of a state who had run successfully his presidency is bid for presidency on the platform of a previous administration that had been conducting a global war on terror and had run office for 2 terms and is leaving on the eve of his departure. He has given his last State of the Union address, in which he seems to be quite, very confident, in fact, overconfident, and there's some slight mismatch between what people, Americans, including the world at large, the Americans, their allies, and the world at large, as global citizens, feel, in fact, whether the world is more safer or less safer than before he stepped into the office. Well, he seems to have a very confident uh, uh, assessment of his own performance. This is what he has got to say. Uh, there are no existential threats to the United States. I repeat, you heard it right. There are no existential threats to the United States, and that, he says, includes the Islamic State. In fact, Matt Lauer, in this interview with NBC program, uh, the president has been asked a very specific question, and he's very clear about it. United States didn't face a single existential threat as his presidency approached its end. There were none. Well, this is what his own CIA director has to say.
Attack in Paris was the first manifestation of an effort that ISIS has made to put together an attack capability in Europe, an effort they began less than a year before the Paris attack. More attacks in Europe are likely. The head of the UK's Domestic Security Agency has warned that ISIS is planning mass casualty attacks in Britain. ISIS has said that it wants to conduct similar attacks in the United States. One of the things I learned in 33 years in the CIA is sometimes it's really important to listen to what your adversary tells you. Sometimes they tell you exactly what they're going to do. ISIS has told us they're going to attack us here. Now that they have the attack capability in Europe, they are almost certainly working to do the same thing here. And unless they are degraded, they will succeed here. I don't have any doubt about that.
Well, this is what his own CIA man has to say. That is Michael Morrell, President Obama's former deputy and acting CIA director. He has issued his warning, which is quite dire, in testimony to the House Armed Services Committee. Well, we might go into more of what he has to say. It is it's a very ominous message that we get if we are to read between the lines of what the president is saying and read the lips of the CIA top honcho. Well, let's continue with it. Here is what he has to say.
A significant strategic and lethal threat to the United States of America.
That's what he has to say. So there are in fact three major elements in what the CIA director has said in his speech to the Armed Forces Committee. Most important of this is, firstly, is talking about direct and indirect threats, spelling it out. Then he's talking about the different nature of this enemy, which is a quasi-state. It's quite functional. He attests to that. The second thing that he's talking about is how it impacts on the allies, the major allies, like the Western allies democracies there, and Britain, the Western Europe, and Israel, and how it impacts on them. He says that for the first time they have demonstrated in the recent Paris attacks repeatedly that they could inflict mass casualties. And the third thing he's talking about is acquiring fresh territory. He's talking about Libya, obviously, and he spells it out. He says one day you'll wake up and find that Libya, or parts of Libya, have been completely taken over by the Islamic State. What it means is that the Islamic State acquires a fresh launching pad which is well positioned, from which already there's a flooding of migrants overcoming the borders of European Union. They are flooding them. The second thing is the militants invading, sneaking through the migrants, which is what Islamic State has claimed, and which is what the CIA directors say. You better listen up close to what the enemy is in fact telling you. He says that is one thing he has learned.
Every single one of us in this chamber tonight, and all of the people that we represent, they hold us in contempt. They hold our values in contempt. They hold our belief in tolerance and decency in contempt. ISIS is a state in every respect of the word except one. It does not have foreign recognition or relations with other states. But in every other respect, it is a state. It has an executive. It has an army. It has a police force. It has a set of laws. It has a judiciary. It provides social services. It takes care of its poor, and it raises taxes. Why does it matter that ISIS is a quasi-state? Two reasons. One is that as a state, it can utilize all of the resources, human and otherwise, within the area that it controls in the pursuit of its objectives. The best example of this is the tens of millions of dollars a month in revenue that ISIS earns from taxing the people that are inside the caliphate. Israel, and a region that is home to a set of close American allies, the Gulf Arab states, that are a bulwark against Iran's push for hegemony in the region. Third, as a revolutionary political movement, ISIS is gaining affiliates. This was mentioned in the opening statements. ISIS is gaining affiliates among extremist groups around the world. They are signing up, these groups are signing up for what ISIS desires as its objective, a global caliphate where day-to-day life is governed by extreme religious views. In the mind of ISIS, its global caliphate would extend to the United States of America itself. When they join ISIS, these affiliates evolve from focusing on local issues, local grievances, to focusing on establishing an extension of the caliphate themselves. They want their...
So we are talking about you see how the so-called affiliates are actually extending the program. So this is talking about the vast sphere of influence, the increasing sphere of influence. Like it's not only the conquest of mind space, but also in terms of influence, translated into actual programs, objectives of the caliphate.
Their own little caliphates. And their targets evolve from local to international ones. This is the story of the bombing of the Russian airliner by an ISIS group in the Egyptian Sinai. Only the third airliner brought down by a bomb in the last 25 years. It's remarkable. ISIS has gained affiliates faster than Al-Qaeda ever did. From nothing a year ago, there are now militant groups in nearly 20 countries that have sworn allegiance to ISIS. They have conducted attacks that have already killed Americans, and they carry the potential to themselves grab large amounts of territory. Libya is a place where this could happen in the near term. ISIS controls territory in Libya. They are currently expanding that territory, and foreign fighters are beginning to go to Libya to fight with the ISIS group there. I would not be surprised if we woke up one morning and ISIS in Libya had grabbed a large part of Libyan territory.
That is CIA director's take on it, and while the president himself seems to have rosy picture as his legacy, uh, leaving 2 terms after leaving uh, his office with such an exemplary performance, and he doesn't even seem to be aware of all this. He's so confident. He's saying, I'm absolutely confident we will have defeated Israel. I don't think we have to wait until they are 54 for that to happen. This is for a question that the interviewer asked. He went on to ask Obama specifically about the threat posed by ISIS and other terrorist groups. Your daughters are young ladies. When they get to be your age, President Obama, do you believe in your heart that they will be living in a world that is dealing with the threat of radical Islam on a daily basis? But then we are already living in that world. Well, doesn't matter. But look at the shocking answer. I'm absolutely confident we will have defeated Israel. Well, we don't want to be pessimistic. Perhaps. But then there are no signs of it. That CIA director is saying. In fact, it is this threat, he has clearly spelled out, is increasing on all 3 fronts. A home front, a direct and indirect threat, the threat to their lives, acquisition of fresh territories, and so on. Fresh air capabilities. That is, for the first time in 25 years, they have brought on an ally. And then he says, I don't think we have to wait till they are 54 for that to happen. Well, we agree with that. We don't have to wait. It's already happening. Well then, thanks for joining this program, Reading Between the Lips of the President, where you read then the lips of his deputy CIA director. Thank you. Have a nice day.